Last week on Entertainment News on Channels Television, we put our spotlight under the Nigerian-based Israeli filmmaker Ronya as she moves on her first feature film production, Fairland. During that conversation, she also detailed her opinion and observations about Nollywood in her 4 years of practicing within the industry. So today we bring you the concluding part of that interview.
Isn't this amazing? I'm so happy you chatted me up on that messenger. Can you imagine we've been talking about this for like 2 months, is it? I mean, we met 6 months, 2 months, right?
Yes, 2 months.
I can't believe this is so much.
Film enthusiast Ronya Man's earliest introduction to the Nigerian film industry came just a few years ago when she moved with her family to the West African country. An Israeli with filming exposure in a number of European countries quickly mixed with the Nollywood filming community and in no time became the programmer of the Real-Time Film Festival in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Currently working on her debut feature production, Fairland, inspired by a true life experience from her stay so far in the country, she juxtaposes what it's like making a film in Nigeria with the Israeli film industry.
I think in terms of organization, you could say it's fairly almost the same if you're looking here at big productions. I'm not talking about the small productions that they do for Iroko, that I've been on set with, for Iroko and Africa Magic, that everything is very, in terms of you know, number of people, they try to minimize everything, rightfully so. And the pace here is very different, but also the aesthetics are very different. And the stories are very different to begin with. So whatever you may expect to happen, or no, not what you expect, but like, it's just a different culture altogether. And the challenges of making films here is just greater, much greater, I find. So I find, for me, making movies here has made me a better filmmaker, actress, whatever, compared to if I was just to stay in that safe, maybe, environment of doing productions in Israel. But I think with Nollywood now taking more and more space in Netflix, it will probably help it expand into those new territories of audience. And I also feel like the project of Fairland, the one I'm working on right now, is a great bridge to meet those two cultures. I feel like, so I look at it like as the West and Africa in my point of view, because I don't have any other way of just like, I don't have another way of generalizing Israel, Europe, da da da. So let's like the West and then Africa. So I think Fairland is the bridge meeting point of those two cultures and will help immensely in expanding the exposure of Nollywood into those markets.
In recent times, a few Nollywood movies have earned considerable attention of the international audience, and some have even been screened at some of the big festivals, including the Toronto International Film Festival, the Berlinale, and some others. The numbers of these films is, however, a very minute fraction of the total number of productions in the country that is generally believed to be the second most prolific film industry in the world.
I think Nollywood is aware of where it wants to be in terms of production value to meet the international market. I think there should be an expectation that is also aware of the cultural differences between the West and Africa. The way stories are told here in Nigeria specifically, because I haven't seen it in movies from Ghana, for example. But Nigerian movies are told in a way that will not necessarily meet the culture of the way stories are told in the West. If you say to Nigeria, it's a drama film, his notion of drama is not the same as the notion of drama in Europe, for example. And I think it's because you grew up, or we grew up on different types of cinema. I think Nigerians grew up on Bollywood, for example, more than American films or series. And so their notion of drama is drawn from that type of filmmaking. Whereas in Europe, they have their own way of cinema, and America have their own way of cinema, of telling stories. And Nigerians may find a European film, I don't know, not dramatic enough, whereas vice versa.
Nollywood in itself is a fusion of a couple of language-based genres, with a good number of movies recorded in indigenous languages.
I don't think the language has anything to do with it, because you know, you go and watch Swedish films or German films with subtitles, or whatever, Arabic films from Iran or something, or from India, in Indian, they have subtitles. If the acting and the directing and the story itself are good, then you just follow. Let me tell you this, as a kid, we didn't have a lot of options of TV when I was a kid in Israel. So all I had was the Jordanian channel. And I don't speak a word of Arabic, and I don't know how to read Arabic. But everything was like, so they would bring American films, like West Side Story type of films, Western movies and stuff. And I didn't know English very well at the time either. And there would be Arabic subtitles. So basically, I did not understand a word. But just from the visuals, I could make out the story. You know, the visuals, the acting, the storytelling, the setting, the thing, what happens after what, after what, after what, after what. So just from watching the screen, I could tell the story, and I was enthralled in those love stories, you know, it was like in the Wild West and Scarlett O'Hara type thing and Gone with the Wind type things. So I don't think language has anything to do with story. It's just how you tell your story and how you choose your visuals. And I think one thing that Nollywood can maybe think about is, like, how do I set up the scene? Not have all the scenes in a room with two people sitting and talking or standing and talking, but have something that is more dynamic, that shows more of the environment. Where are they going to? Why are they going there? Like, while they're going to somewhere, something else is happening that has to do with the story, but you know, like, there's more to life than just sitting in a room and meeting people and talking. Maybe that's where I would spice it up a little bit.